Welcome to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. Quick, actionable tips to master personal finance and real estate investing. In just 5 minutes a day, we'll help you build wealth and achieve financial freedom. You know that couple on your street? The ones who moved in 2 years ago, redid the kitchen, tore out the yard, and put in new sod. And now there's a for sale sign out front. Again, you think they can't settle down, they just pocketed $53,000. And they didn't pay a dime in taxes. Hey, Prime investors, Martin Maxwell here. Welcome back to the 5-Minute Prime Podcast. Today, an IRS rule that's been on the books since 1997 that turns the house you live in into a tax-free profit machine. Most people have never heard of it. Your neighbor? She figured it out a long time ago. I am not a CPA. I am not a tax attorney. This is education, not personal financial advice. Don't file a return based on a podcast episode. Run this past your own tax professional before you make any moves. Understood? Good. The rule nobody taught you, IRS Section 121. Let me give you the rule in one sentence. Sell your primary residence after living in it for 2 of the last 5 years. And the first $250,000 in capital gains is tax-free. If you're married filing jointly, $500,000. Gone. The IRS doesn't touch it. 3 tests. 1, you owned the home for at least 2 of the past 5 years. 2, you actually live there, not a rental, not a vacation house, your home. And 3, you haven't used this same exclusion in the last 2 years. That's it. Meet all 3, and you walk away with up to $500,000. Oh, nothing. Now here's where it gets wild. There is no lifetime cap. None. You can use this every 2 years for the rest of your life. A 30-year-old who runs this play 4 times by age 39 banks $200,000 to $250,000 in tax-free gains. Married couple? Double the ceiling. $1 million wealth machine with no tenants, no property manager, no midnight phone calls about the water heater. Let me show you what this looks like next to a traditional flip. A flipper buys a house, guts it in 4 months, sells for a $60,000 profit. IRS calls that short-term capital gains, taxed at your ordinary rate. Depending on your bracket, the flipper hands back $13,000 to $22,000 of that $60,000. Now you buy the same house. You live in it, fix it up on Saturdays. No hard money loan at 12%, no second mortgage bleeding you dry, no contractor on a 4-month clock. 2 years later, you sell for the same $60,000 profit. Your tax bill? $0. Same house, same gain. The flipper writes a $22,000 check to the IRS. You write nothing. That's Section 121. I call it the $500,000 loophole. The 2-year cycle, real numbers. Let me walk through one cycle with a real house. Rochester, New York. Median home price around $230,000. Appreciation rate 10.3% per year. That's Realtor.com's 2026 forecast. Low new construction, chronic inventory shortage, steady demand. You buy a $320,000 3-bedroom with an FHA loan. 3.5% down, that's $11,200 out of pocket. Closing costs eat another $6,400. Total cash to get in the door, $17,600. Now you live there, and over 2 years you spend $15,000 making it yours. Not a gut renovation. This is weekend warrior territory. You repaint the whole interior for about $3,000. Swap out countertops and cabinet hardware in the kitchen, $6,000. Rip out the overgrown bushes, put in clean landscaping, $3,000. New light fixtures and doorknobs throughout, another $3,000. Nothing heroic. The kind of stuff you do anyway because you live in the house and the brass fixtures from 1997 are driving you crazy. Okay, numbers. After 2 years, the market moved. Rochester's appreciating at 10.3% annually, compounded over 2 years. That's roughly $69,000 in market value just from sitting there. Your $15,000 in improvements added another $25,000 in appraised value. Conservative estimate, home's now worth about $414,000. You sell. Commissions and closing costs, roughly $27,000. Mortgage payoff started at $308,800, paid down about $8,000 in principal, so $301,000 out the door. What's left? A check for about $86,000. Now subtract everything you put in. The $17,600 to buy, the $15,000 in improvements. That's $32,600 total. Your net profit, $53,400. Taxes owed, $0. I'll say it again, $0. That's 164% on your cash, on a house you slept in every night, not a rental. Your home, do it again at 32. again at 34. By cycle 4, you're 37, 38 years old, sitting on $200,000 plus in tax-free wealth, no tenants, no property manager, nobody calling you at 2 a.m. because the toilet is running. And look, this isn't theoretical. Carl and Mindy Jensen, a couple out of Colorado, did this 7 times, 7 live-in flips over about 15 years. Their first one bought for $135,000, sold for $235,000, $100,000 in profit. Tax-free. Across all 7 cycles, they banked roughly $1 million and retired in their early 50s. Total capital gains taxes paid across the entire run? 0. Their rule. And I love this. Find the dumpy house in the great neighborhood. The ugliest house on the best street. Cosmetic problems? Solid bones. That's the play. The friction test, where this works and where it breaks. All right, here's where I save you from yourself, because this strategy has a kill switch. I call it the friction test. Every time you buy and sell a house, you bleed money. On the way in, buyer closing costs 2% to 5%. On the way out, seller closing costs plus commissions, roughly 6.5%. Round trip, 8 to 10% of the sale price gone. On a $350,000 house, that's $28,000 to $35,000. Gone before you see a dollar of profit. If your market's appreciation plus your forced appreciation doesn't clear that number, Section 121 doesn't matter. You can't exclude a gain you never made. So where does the math actually work right now? Growth corridors with inventory shortages. Toledo, Ohio is running 13.1% annual appreciation. 13%. Syracuse, 12.4%. Rochester, 10.3%. Hartford and Baltimore are both above 8%. These are affordable markets. Median prices between $185,000 and $350,000 with almost no new construction. Steady demand. They clear the friction test before you pick up a paintbrush. Builder incentive suburbs work too. Last episode, 116, I walked through how Lennar and D.R. Horton are handing out 3.99% rates and $15,000 in closing credits just to move inventory. Buy new with those incentives, live in it 2 years, sell a like-new home with 0 deferred maintenance. The builder's crisis becomes your entry discount. But here's where it falls apart. Austin, negative 2.6% appreciation. New Orleans, negative 4.7%. You're not just failing the friction test, you're losing money on a house you lived in for 2 years. That's a bad day. High-cost coastal markets, San Francisco, New York, Boston, entry is $800,000 to $1.5 million. Appreciation swings wildly cycle to cycle. And if you somehow clear $1 million in gains, you'd blow past the $500,000 cap anyway. And then there are high transfer tax states that pile friction on top of friction. Delaware charges 4% in transfer tax alone. On a $400,000 sale, that's $16,000 before commissions, before title, before anything else. My point of view is this. Pick your market before you pick your house. If it passes the friction test, appreciation running above 5%, entry price between $200,000 and $400,000, inventory with cosmetic upside, you've got a runway. If it doesn't, Section 121 is a nice rule sitting in a law book collecting dust. This is prepare phase in the prime framework. Before you analyze a deal, before you call a lender, know where the math works. The friction test is filter number 1. Your challenge today, go to Realtor.com or Zillow tonight. Look up the 2-year price change for your zip code. If appreciation cleared 10% over those 2 years, you're sitting in a live-in flip zone, and you might not even know it. If it didn't, look one metro over: Toledo, Rochester, Syracuse, Hartford. One of them might be a short drive or one job change away. Run the friction test. Know your number before you ever look at a house. Next episode, there's $1.8 trillion in commercial real estate debt coming due this year. When those loans mature and the borrower can't refi, somebody buys the building at a steep discount. That somebody could be you. I'm Martin Maxwell. Keep learning, stay strategic, and keep building one step at a time.